Can't even see the camera.
Hey, this is Commander Bacon
And Shelly.
with His Way Homestead, and we're still on our way home from Pryor, Oklahoma.
I still can't see the camera.
It's right there.
The sun is bright.
Sun's bright, it's hot. We are at Cosmic Caverns, and we're going to go in and
look at the Cosmic Caverns.
look at a hole in the ground.
We're going to pay.
We're going to pay
to look at a hole in the
We're
ground.
going to pay to go into a hole in the ground.
Because we're caves.
We're caves, and I need to see my kinfolk. So stay tuned. I don't know if we'll be able to record anything inside the cave.
I already checked.
Oh, so we can record inside. So stay tuned, and we'll show you all about it. We got a little history of the cave. All kinds of stuff up here. This is upstairs. So you can read up about it. Pretty cool. Got some stuff down here in the bottom. Some old cameras and stuff. That's kind of cool. There's a treasure right there. Look at that. Somebody broke it. Stalactites, stalagmites. Ooh. Morning. Bigfoot sighted. Ooh. What is that? Bigfoot Fun Park. That sounds fun. Because it has fun in the name. It's got to be fun. There we go. Ooh, wouldn't mess with this lady. She got a shotgun on that guy. Oh, that's Bonnie and Clyde. There you go. They're here.
Yeah. For her, the best cave around here would be Onyx Cave and War Eagle Cave. Yeah. We can recommend, especially War Cave.
Pretty cool. Wish I owned a cave. Pretty neat. Bats, I don't like bats. But bats are our friends. They eat bugs. That's a good thing. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can see up here on the second floor. Ready to go back down? Oh, here we go. Let's see, let's snap a picture. Whoop. Whoop.
I'm framed.
All right.
Do you ever work with Adam?
All right.
In a couple minutes and just take a look at this map up on the wall. This map is a cross section of our cave. We are here in this building. We're going to head outside, have a short meeting, then head down a couple of flights of steps, have our first big meeting here at level 1, then head down a couple more flights to the bottom of the cave. So from the surface to the bottom of the cave, it's about 75 feet straight down. Okay? Just once we get to the bottom, we're going to walk along the walkway here. We have lots of stops. Just anytime you see this bluish green color, that is water. We've had a lot of rain the past couple of weeks. The cave is nice and wet. We'll actually see some water here in the overflow room. Then we'll see the very large south lake and then the smaller north lake. So we'll walk along here, and as I mentioned, we have lots of stops. We'll actually squeeze past Hugging Rock, spend a few minutes in what's called the ghost room, maybe haunted, maybe not. We'll talk about it. And then we'll squeeze through this tunnel. It's really not that bad. And then we'll spend a few minutes here in the very back part of the cave. Now what's special about this part of the cave here It was discovered in 1993. So to us, it's brand new.
Wow.
Now the tour that we take today will end here, but then we'll turn around, we'll head back the same way we came. We'll go underneath this building, and then the last room that we visit is underneath the parking lot. So from tip to tip, it's about a third to half a mile. Any questions about the map? No? Okay, well, let's head outside. Glad everybody's here. Come on down. We're not going in yet. This is the original discovery hole here at the cave. This is also the only way in and out of the cave. So we're gonna head straight down the 75 feet. Just once we get to the bottom, we're gonna walk towards the northeast. Once we get to the very back part of that cave, that brand new part will actually be underneath the hill behind the building. Then we'll turn around, we'll come back the same way, we'll pass underneath this building, and then the last room we visit is underneath the parking lot. Pretty much a straight line. Okay? What's a stalactite?
I still want to go on the ground, right? Like
Nope.
Oh, darn.
It was a 50-50 shot.
50, yeah.
Okay, stalactite.
From the ceiling.
All right, stalactite is a cave formation that grows from the ceiling down. Stalagmites grow from the floor up. Okay? When a stalactite and a stalagmite meet and form one solid piece, that's called a column or a pillar. And the reason why I mention this, because this is an active cave. The formations are still forming today. Since it is an active cave, it's a very wet cave. So be careful going through the cave. Steps are a little slippery. Not in any rush. This is your personal tour. Take lots of pictures and ask lots of questions. Okay? Ready to head on down?
Yes,
All right. Let's have some fun.
No, sorry. Got a strap on right there.
Before. It's just like for the guy.
Well, there's a big bedroom down here. I sleep like a baby in this. Don't touch anywhere.
That's the hardest part of the tour, is the first couple flights of steps. You made it here, you're doing okay.
Yeah, is this a new, a little branch off of it?
We'll talk about that.
Talk about that later?
We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Now, this cave was discovered in 1845. So it's been known for 176 years. It was discovered by some prospectors who came down from Joplin, Missouri. They were actually looking for lead. Didn't find any lead, but what they found was the cave. And then within the cave, they found what we call cave onyx. Now, the stalactites, the stalagmites that we'll see here in the cave today are composed of calcite. Cave onyx is a type of calcite where the crystal structure is changed and makes the rock translucent. Light shines through it. So cave onyx was taken out of this cave on and off from 1880 to 1925. The onyx was shipped to Eureka Springs, where it was carved into jewelry, doorknobs, and drawer pulls. Now here's a 25-pound piece of onyx that we placed here. In 1920, cave onyx was worth about 8 cents a pound. So this rock was worth a couple dollars. Now that's not a lot of money today, but in 1920, a day's wage was just about $1. So this rock was worth a lot. Today, this specimen is worth about $100.
Wow.
But because of all the laws that protect the caves, and really out of respect for caves, we are not allowed to take anything out of the cave. So the onyx that we sell in our store, and most of the onyx that is available throughout the United States, is all sourced in Mexico. The major use for onyx today, anybody know?
Jewelry.
No? Chestnuts and lamps.
Wow.
All ornamental. Now, those steps that we walked down were built in 1927, and that is when the first tour started. But the lights were not installed in the cave till 1952. So that means when you came down to mine that onyx or take those other tours, it was pretty dark in there. So if you came into the cave, you had to bring your own crude flashlight, an oil lamp, a carbide lamp, a candle, or in some cases,
Torch.
they'd go and make a torch. Yep. This torch is made from a pine tree knot. They used to soak it in kerosene and then light it. Just like the old Frankenstein movies or the Indiana Jones movies. Now these torches, they gave off an awful lot of light, but they also gave off an awful lot of smoke, a lot of soot. So you can actually see contamination up on the ceiling. Anytime you see black up on the ceiling in this cave, that is contamination from man and most likely from a torch. So once she just got kids, okay? This is, as you've probably noticed already, this is a very wet cave. We will get dripped on, guaranteed.
Yes.
But that's a good thing. When you get dripped on inside a cave, that's called a cave kiss.
Good. I should have worn a
Yeah.
hat.
So once the lights got installed, that is when the tours really started. Now, the current owner's been involved with the cave since 1973, and he's owned the cave since 1980. This is the largest private show cave in Arkansas.
Wow.
Any questions? Okay, this gentleman had a question about this hole here. Now, that hole is not a cave. That is a tunnel, a man-made tunnel. This used to be a solid wall. Well, Easter 2011, after a huge flood, the owner came down here to check on all the lights, and he stood here, and inside this solid wall, he heard rushing water, like a waterfall or maybe a river. So we have been digging on our hands and knees for the last 10 years, trying to get back to where we think the source of all that noise is from.
Wow.
Wow.
We're back about 50 feet, haven't found anything yet, but still after a heavy rain, you can really hear the water rushing.
Wow.
That's cool.
So, notice the stethoscope. The reason why there's a stethoscope here is because when we work in the very back part of that tunnel, we'll actually put a stethoscope on to try to listen through the rock.
Oh, wow.
It kind of helps us. We figure we're about 15 feet away from hitting something.
Wow.
It may be a whole nother cave room with water flowing through it. We have no idea.
What do you dig with? How do you get through?
We basically, with hammers, rock hammers, picks, and hands. Yep. And since we're not allowed to take anything out of the cave, the material that we move from this tunnel, we actually dump here.
Okay.
So by law, it stays in the cave.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Any other questions? Okay, before we head on down, I want to take a couple of minutes and explain how a cave forms. It takes 4 things to form a cave. You need a lot of water, you need the right type of rock, you need a passageway or some type of a mechanism to help that water reach that rock, and then you need lots of time. And want you remember the time part, okay?
Okay.
During the tour, when I point to you, all you have to do is say time.
Okay.
Got it? Good. Now, as far as the water is concerned, this part of the United States has always been extremely wet. That's not a problem. The right type of rock is crucial. All of the rock that we'll be walking through today is either limestone or dolostone. These are very common rocks. But what's really special about them is if you get a little bit of acid-rich water in contact with that rock, you can actually dissolve the rock away. And that's how caves form. It's chemical erosion. The acid-rich water dissolves the rock away. Third thing that you need to form a cave is some type of a passageway or a mechanism to help that water reach that rock. And in the case of this cave, we happen to have a fracture zone or a fault. Now that fracture is not like the San Andreas Fault in California. Okay, what actually happened here is the Earth's surface just cracked open just a couple of feet. So let's take a look at the ceiling. Right above us, we have this big hole here. And then behind us, we have another little smaller hole.
All right, I'm tired of the kisses.
These two holes are part of the fracture. Now these holes actually go up to the surface, but we can't see through them because the upper couple of feet are covered with rubble, soil, and grass. But as we walk through the cave, I'm going to point out along the ceiling, because we'll be able to see that fracture the entire length of the cave. This cave is here because of the fracture. The fracture is straight, this cave is straight.
Wow.
Now, we're pretty sure that fracture is not active anymore. So I really
Pretty
wish,
sure.
best we can do.
You
So
can't give guarantees.
No guarantee, well,
The past 100 years has been dead anyhow, huh?
the only guarantee that I have, and I have this on very good authority, is that fracture has never been active on a Monday.
All right.
So you picked the perfect day. And then the fourth thing that you need to form a cave is, what's the fourth
Time.
thing? Time, very good. Time is probably the hardest to understand, but probably the most important. These rocks are over 300 million years old. That's before the dinosaurs. This cave's about 5 million years old, and you'll see stalactites and stalagmites that we know took at least 5,000 years to form. And talking about stalactites and time, this little guy here, when the owner started to work here in 1973, he noticed this was just a drip of water. In 48 years, it's grown about a ½ inch. So based on this and some other things that we've learned in the cave, we estimate it takes about 100 years for every inch of growth.
Wow.
Pretty slow. So we guesstimate that it takes about 1,000 years per foot of growth. And that's exactly why in all caves you're never allowed to touch anything, because the oil from our skin will contaminate and retard the growth.
Does it depend on how much water is moving in that
Yes.
particular area?
Yes, exactly right. The 100 years for an inch is an absolute average to guesstimate really. A lot depends on how much water flows and how fast the water drips. The faster the water drips, actually the taller the stalagmite's going to be. The slower the water drips, the longer the stalactite. But
Okay.
it'll also go faster too. Yep. But that 100 years per inch is a good working average.
That's cool.
Ready to head on down?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. We are heading down. Just be careful, a couple more flights.
All right, have a good tour.
This room is called the overflow room. It's called that because anytime it rains out, all the excess water that comes in the cave will accumulate here. You'll see in the back half of the cave, we have a couple of lakes. When those lakes get nice and full, the water will overflow into here. So just below us, right here, this is our collection pond. Probably right about here, it's about 3 to 4 feet deep. But this water is actually slowly draining out of the cave. This water is flowing underneath this rubble to our left, goes through a tunnel, and comes out next door in the chicken farm in the form of a spring.
Oh, that would be nice.
That's chicken farm's about 100 feet over, then another 300 feet down the hillside is a spring. So when that spring is flowing, that means there's lots of water here in the cave. Now right across the way from us, this is the classic shape for stalactite. Looks like an ice cream cone or a saber-tooth tiger teeth. Now this particular one's about 3 feet long. How many years do you think it took to form?
Over 3,000.
About 3,000 years, good. These little guys here, these are baby stalactites. But they have a special name. Anybody know what they're called? Let me give you a little hint. They're hollow.
straws.
Straws, very good. These are called soda straws. The reason why they're called soda straws is because they look just like a straw, skinny like a straw, and they're hollow. The water actually drips through the middle of them.
Just like me.
And then just way to our right, perfect example of a column or pillar. Stalactite, stalagmite meet forming one solid piece. Okay, everybody, just follow me. And again, anytime you have a question, just please ask. I showed you a piece of onyx before. I'd like to show you a bed of onyx.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, wow.
All through here. This was the best onyx in the cave. This is what they wanted. That amber color with the banding in it. Again, shipped to Eureka Springs, carved into jewelry, doorknobs, and draw pulls.
So is this concrete we're walking on, or?
Yes, concrete. Right. All the walkways are they're originally wood, and then they were replaced with concrete. Now this whole wall in front of us is called the Milky Way. This is a great example of a formation we call cave flowstone. Now flowstone is basically a general term for any kind of formation that grows on a wall. It can take any kind of a shape. It just flows. Now this flowstone in front of us is nice and white. Most people think it looks like spilt milk or ice cream melting. But notice it's shiny. Mm-hmm. How come it's shiny? Water. Because it's water, because it's wet. Exactly right. So if it's wet, that means it's still active today, still growing. What happens is the water drips off the ceiling. As the water flows across the surface, it deposits some calcite, makes this a little thicker. And when the water reaches the edge, you can see it start dripping, forming stalactites. And when that drip of water finally falls and hits the ground, it'll splash, release the rest of the minerals, and starts to form stalagmites. So these mounds below us are the very beginnings of stalagmites. This big one here in the middle has probably been forming for at least 300 years. So really, when you think about it, the whole process is pretty simple. You need lots of water and an awful lot of time.
Does it matter about the pH level of the water?
Well, when the cave formed, the pH was a little higher. It was acidic. That's what eroded the rock away. Today, the water is pretty much neutral. It's rainwater. Okay. But it actually picking up some calcite as it goes through the limestone. So, yeah.
Are there anything living in the water?
We don't have any fish in the lakes, but we do have some salamanders throughout the cave.
Okay, the blind salamanders?
We have some blind cave salamanders. They're pretty tough to see because there's lots of water here.
Yeah, they're usually pretty translucent too,
Yeah,
right?
usually the blind cave salamanders will mature to about 3 inches long. They're a translucent gray-green.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Blind you.
Okay, that's fine.
I didn't know my light was on. Sorry.
Okay. They're actually born with eyesight, but after spending a couple of years here in the cave, they realize, hey, it's dark in here, I don't need to see, and then they eventually go blind.
So I know you're not to touch any of this, but
Right.
if you touch it, is it slimy or is it just like a wet rock?
We will be able to touch an active rock,
Oh, awesome.
just up ahead, for that exact
Because it looks slimy.
reason. Besides the blind cave salamanders, we have some cave salamanders that are 6 inches long, orange with black dots, and then some tiger salamanders, which are about 6 inches long, black with yellow rings. And then in the wintertime, we do have bats. We don't have any bats in the cave today, but in the winter, we'll have 6 to 12 little brown bats living up by the entrance.
That's cool.
Okay.
Now, I have a question. On this here, where it's blacking through here, is that natural or is that from contamination?
This is natural. This is natural. The white is pure calcite. anytime you see a reddish color, that's because of iron in the rock. And then if it's a grayish to black, that's from magnesium being leached out of the rock.
Okay.
Now, you remember that fracture we talked about? The one that's not active on Mondays?
Yeah, that one?
This one up in the ceiling.
I'm not thinking about that.
Yeah.
We can trace this fracture the entire length of the cave, about a half mile. But on the surface, we're able to trace it for 30 miles.
Wow.
But this is the only known cave that's on that fracture. But odds are pretty good, since there's 29 and a half miles of fracture, there's got to be some more caves out there.
Yeah, just haven't been found. No entrance.
Exactly. As we walk along, I want everybody to take a good close look at these strips here.
That's really cool. Looks like bacon hanging under
What do
it.
these strips look? What do these strips look like?
Looks like-
Veins. Okay. What else? I heard it mentioned a couple seconds ago.
Looks like bacon.
Bacon. You got it.
I would know. I'm Commander Bacon.
This is cave bacon. That is a technical term. You visit any cave in the world, you see something that looks like bacon, you call it bacon, you are correct. We are going to see lots of bacon today. All along here, all up on the ceiling, throughout the entire cave. In fact, there's so much bacon here, most people leave hungry. Just giving you a heads up. Don't blame it on me.
There's a
Are
bunch.
you still videoing?
Yeah.
This is our operating table. Now we call it that because if you take a close look at it, you're able to see various body parts scattered all over. Here we have a brain, a tongue, thumb with the fingernail, bottom of a foot, there's the toes, the ball, and the heel, intestines and stomach, a heart, and the baby's head.
That's creepy.
But what's special about this is that we allow you, in fact, we encourage you to touch the brain. The reason why, this is an active cave rock, looks very slimy, looks very spongy. But when you touch it, you realize it's absolutely solid rock and it's almost dry.
No
So
way.
go ahead and touch the brain.
I don't want to drop my phone. Oh, wow.
Yeah, not
Solid
what I
rock,
expected at all.
almost dry,
Yeah.
not slimy at all.
Crazy.
No? Did anybody notice though, where we touch the brain, it's turning black?
Yeah.
How come?
It's our oil.
That's from the oil from our skin. That's from 50 years of touching. So imagine if everybody on every tour touched everything within reach, the cave would turn completely black.
Yeah, that would be awful.
This is also absolute proof that there are brains in Arkansas. In case there was any doubt. Now this rope goes up to the fracture zone, but the reason why there's a rope here is because right above us is a cave room that's big enough to hold 12 people standing up.
Wow.
So our ceiling is actually the floor of the cave room above. Now when we want to explore up there, it's not often we do. We don't climb out that rope. We'll actually bring a ladder down, but we'll use our rope to steady ourselves.
Y'all do that on Mondays?
No. I've been here for 7 years. I've been up there once.
Oh, really?
So yeah.
So that's the only way up in it.
Yeah, it's the only way up there. Now, do you remember that stethoscope tunnel that we've been working on our hands and knees? I think if we continue working on that and we break through somewhere, it's going to break through somewhere along here, just further back in the wall. I think all that rushing water noise that we hear is water running through the fracture. But what's important about the room above us, it does tell us there are rooms above, and as you'll see further back in the cave, there's rooms below us. But the rooms below us are flooded.
Oh.
Please be careful through here, everybody. Sharp rocks on both sides. Watch your step. And if I can have everybody up against the fence, please. Now in Cosmic Caverns, we have two lakes. This body of water in front of us is the first lake that we see. This is the south lake. And I'll talk about Gumby in a moment. Now this south lake is part of the water table. This is the aquifer. This is the drinking water for thousands of people in northwest Arkansas, southwest Missouri, including me. I live in Eureka Springs. I have a deep well. This is the water that I drink. Excellent drinking water. You can see it's pretty much crystal clear, and it has a nice little greenish color. How deep is this lake? Folks, want to come on? Come on.
70?
How many? 30?
According to the map, it looked like it was bottomless in spots.
You got it. This lake is bottomless in the fact we've never been able to find the bottom.
Oh, wow.
We've had scuba divers down the lake. They went down 100 feet. But they had to stop because the rocks got real sharp, got really tight. But they said the lake continued.
Wow.
So we like to say it's at least 100 feet, 2 feet, or a bottom. And that's not surprising, because if it's part of the water table, you expect it to be extensive. But the one interesting thing that the scuba divers found is about 75 feet down, they found a flooded cave room filled with stalactites. So think about that for a second. What does that mean?
I mean, it didn't have water.
Very good. Stalactites and stalagmites can only form in air. So that means a long time ago, and for an extended period of time, the water level must have been much lower to allow those stalactites to form. What that tells us today is over time, water levels rise and fall, just like the Earth's climate warms and cools. Everything in nature is the same.
Yeah.
As I mentioned before, we don't have any fish in the lake. That we know of. How about if I turn off the lights and we go completely dark? Is that okay? Yeah. Imagine coming down here in the cave for your first time just carrying a torch. Pretty scary.
You better hope you soaked in enough kerosene for long enough.
That's right. Exactly right. Notice that we have a boat here. The reason why there's a boat here in the cave is because from this point to the back of the cave, we're walking over water. So if we ever need to do any kind of repair work on the walkways, the lights, the wires, we're waiting for the lakes to come up nice and high like now, and we'll work out the boat. Speaking of the lakes getting high, right now the level of the lake is pretty good. It's on above average, but this cave does flood. If we get an awful lot of rain in a short period of time, the water can drain out fast enough so the cave floods. Our last flood here was May of 2017, where this lake water touched the ceiling.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Now, how does that mess up the stalactite formation?
It actually doesn't.
It doesn't?
When there's a flood here, the water doesn't flow through the cave like a river. It's just like a bathtub. The water rises and then the water drains out. So it doesn't break anything off. The only damage it does is it moves a lot of the clay and silt around and plasters it up on the walls and on the walkways. But it doesn't break anything.
Yeah, it helps your lights.
It hurts the lights. We turn off the power. Yeah. Everybody notice Gumby?
Yep.
Okay. Gumby is green. he's here to remind me to talk about the green material. Come on up here, everybody. We have some fuzzy green material growing here in the cave. That's algae. That grows because of us. With all the tours that we give, we always bring contamination down. Can't help it. And the floodlights supply heat and light, and the cave supplies the moisture. This does not harm the cave at all. It's just not native to the cave. It's here because of us. We're gonna have a quick quiz. What does this look like?
Corn dog.
Very good. Somehow, this guy has never skipped a meal, right?
Thanks for noticing.
It's okay. We're all about food here. Okay? This is a stalactite that looks just like a corn dog or maybe a carrot cocoon cattail. And here we have a nice little soda straw column. Very delicate.
What about this? Looks like a fin.
Looks like a shark's fin. Very good. A knife plate.
Yeah.
Good. And then above us, what's that look like?
Looks like a conch shell.
Conch shell. Perfect. Yep. Perfect. These are all stalactites, but they have very different shapes.
Now, are these translucent too, or?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
No.
It depends on the minerals
Yeah.
pulled through.
Right. Exactly right. Just be careful up ahead. It gets pretty wet. We're going to get this done.
A lot of kisses. Yep. Getting wet.
Wow.
A little squeeze. Oh, there's bacon. That's a big piece of bacon.
Yes. Yep.
There's a little gnome.
Now, right in front of us, this whole wall is covered with flowstone. And going out of the flowstone on the bottom edge, we call this cave curtains or draperies, because they look just like curtains. To our left, we have a nice piece of flowstone that looks just like an angel's wing. And way further away, nice slab of bacon.
Yeah, there you go.
Here, we have an active stalactite. You can see dripping water forming that little stubby stalactite below. If this continues to drip water, we figure in 50 to 100 years, this should start to form a column. So if anybody comes back to visit the cave and this is forming a column, then give me a call. And that's the problem with caves. You can't stand here for 50 years and watch it.
Yeah.
Just what we learn over 10, 20, 25 years, and then we use that knowledge and extrapolate out. Below us, beautiful view of the South Lake.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Just be careful coming up the steps.
What about the little gnome back here?
Little gnome, when you pass by here, if you want to take a look at the little gnome, basically this is our Travelocity gnome, because this is our tropical island.
Okay.
Looks like a beach line here. Back here we have a little volcano. And then all these stalactites above us kind of look like palm trees.
Oh, they do.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody had a good imagination.
Good thing you said something.
Watch your back.
Gonna be squeezing past Honey Rock. not haunted. But in reading some stories on the history of the cave, a lot's been mentioned here in the past where people either felt some type of a presence here in this room or actually saw a ghost. Because we haven't experienced anything recently, but there are 3 natural cave formations here in this room that do make it a little spooky. Back here, we have a skeleton. There's the neck, the shoulders, different bones, hips, and the knees. Everybody see it?
It took me
Okay.
a minute, but yeah.
Yep, good. Behind the skeleton, we have some ghosts. You can kind of see the heads floating there. And then we have this large rock that looks like what?
A coffin.
Coffin, very good. This is Coffin Rock. So between the ghost stories, Coffin Rock, the ghost and the skeleton, this is the ghost room. This is also our wedding chapel too.
Oh.
On average, we have a couple weddings a year. Let's take a look back here. Hundreds of soda straws and stalactites. Notice they're very wet, all dripping water, very much alive. But there's one special one I always like to point out. There's one here in the middle. It has a little curve to it. Folks, why don't you come on into here? You can see lots of it. To me, this looks like a wiener dog hanging upside down with a runny nose. You can see the floppy ear, the eye, and the runny nose.
It looks like a seahorse.
Okay. It just doesn't have any legs, right?
Yeah.
But this proves that if you spend a lot of time in the cave, you see stuff. But keep in mind, that little S-curve that forms the neck and head probably took 100 years to form.
What caused that? All the others are straight.
Well, water wants to travel the path of least resistance. It wants to go straight down. For some reason, that passageway was blocked. So the water went to our left. Next one, next drip for 100 years.
So how do you get the shelves like this?
Well, this is a shelf or table, we call it, covered with clay. This is probably the original host rock that never got eroded away.
Okay.
For some reason, it was just a little more resistant to chemical erosion. But this is strong enough to support up to 300 pounds.
Wow.
We've actually had a couple of guides standing out there. Why don't you come on over here? If anybody wants to look up inside a soda straw, here's a perfect spot. Come on over. Get right underneath it.
Catch the drip.
Yeah.
You can actually see they are indeed hollow. After a heavy rain, this is just like a shower head.
Did it pour water?
Yep.
Like, I don't know, wax.
What was that?
It looks like bones a little bit.
Bones, okay. A lot of people think it looks like coral, too.
Oh, that too.
Yep. Now, eventually, those soda straws will get clogged up. Then the water will flow on the outside to form the more classic shapes like that. Yep. It's all a process. And you can see this one right there is dripping lots of water. Very active. This is right along that fracture. Now this fence, this used to be the end of this part of the tour. The cave actually ended behind the skeleton. This used to be a solid wall. Well, late in 1992, after a huge flood, the owner came down to check on everything, and he stood here, and inside the solid wall, he heard rushing water, like a waterfall or maybe a river. So he walked up to the rock, he actually felt a little breeze coming through. Turns out there was a fracture through the rock, allowing some air to pass. So with his experience in working in caves, he realized he had moving water and moving air. That usually means there's something back there, but he wasn't sure exactly what or how far. So we put together a little team, got some dynamite, and got lots of tools. And they worked on cutting a tunnel for a couple of months. And after digging and blasting through 50 feet of solid rock, they finally broke through. So we are going to be walking through that tunnel. Please stay low. It's okay to touch the walls. When we're able to stand up, we are going to be in a brand new cave room, first seen by man in January of 1993. Made national news. This cave is featured in an IMAX movie that's still playing in Branson, and extended this cave about 1,000 feet. Literally double the length of the cave.
Wow.
This discovery is the main reason why we started to work on that stethoscope tunnel on top.
Makes sense.
Because you never really know.
Yeah.
Please stay low, everybody.
Oh yeah.
If you can take a couple more steps down.
All right.
You can touch the wall behind you there. There you go. Great. Thanks. Everybody in? Yeah. All right, good. So that was the tunnel. Took a couple months to dig. This is what they found.
Oh, there's corkscrew
Yep.
formation. That's cool.
Let's take a look at the ceiling. What's your first impression?
It's beautiful.
Beautiful, okay.
There's something,
How about the color?
yeah.
Isn't it pretty much pure white to peachy tan? Very pure looking.
Except that.
Notice the complete lack of black. There's no soot from the torches.
Nobody had been here before.
Exactly right.
Wow.
This cave was first seen in January of 1993. Since that day, this has been under lock and key. Very much protected. Bottom line is, when caves form, this is the way it's supposed to look. Let's follow the light here. Got a couple things to point out. Right here we have what we call cave coral. And notice a lot of worm-like structures growing up on the ceiling. And then right above us, we have a mouse hanging by its tail.
Yeah.
And in front of me, to our left, we have this beautiful column. Notice we have a little corkscrew, a little spiral up on top. And then this gets skinny, gets fat, gets skinny, gets fat.
That's my diet routine.
And if you take a close look in the ceiling, you can see a few little holes. Those are part of the fracture.
Now what is that? Because that looks like more like an ore deposit.
Yeah, it does. It does look like almost like copper. That's just some of the host rock that was not dissolved and coated in years and years of flooding. A lot of mud.
Now, were they concerned at all with the dynamite?
Oh, you
they
betcha.
could break any of these?
You betcha. That's with the dynamite. What they did is they pre-drilled a hole, used a small amount of explosive, packed it really tight, just enough of a charge to fracture the rock, not blow up the cave.
Yeah.
They basically went inch by inch. That's why it took a couple months. Just be careful on the steps, please. Now everybody notice how nice and warm the cave is? This is the warmest cave around. Right now this cave is 63 degrees. You visit any of the cave in the Ozarks, it'll be about 57 degrees. But one of the special features of all caves is the temperature inside a cave does not change.
Right.
So the middle of winter, it's 63 degrees here, middle of summer, it's 63 degrees. And that's valid for all caves throughout the world. Let's take a look at this beautiful column here. What famous building does this look like?
Eiffel Tower.
Eiffel Tower, okay. How about a little closer to home?
Empire State Building?
Empire State Building, good. And this is classic. We have a 1.5 foot long stalactite that looks just like a carrot, with dripping water, forming the stubby stalagmite below it. Now, if this continues to drip, and we have about 2,000 years to spare, this should form a perfect column. Water and time. And if we take a close look in the ceiling again, here's that fracture.
You're gonna have to stop talking about that little piano.
That's the last time I'll mention it.
So
Okay?
is that the water that he heard? Is that the sound?
Coming through the
Oh,
fracture.
this is a little babbling brook compared to what.
Really?
Yeah.
But it was
Yeah.
water probably coming through the fracture that he heard?
Yes, yes. Well, actually, probably more focused than that. I'll show you in a couple minutes. So imagine working around that tunnel for a couple of months, finally breaking through, discovering this brand new room, which we have called the Silent Splendor. The crew worked their way up here. Come up the fence, everybody. And this is what they saw. Once you go up to the fence, and you can stay to your left, the best view is toward your right. That's okay, we'll spend lots of time here. You're not blocking anybody. Okay. Sir, why don't you move to your left?
Yeah, I was going to. I was letting everybody else know. Oh, that goes way down.
Straight ahead, on the right-hand side, 12-foot tall column. That's one of the tallest ones that really are. But notice to the left of it, the skinny soda straw, that's 9 feet tall and still tall. That is the tallest soda straw that really are. Now this body of water below us is our second lake. This is the North Lake. By volume, it's a lot smaller than the South Lake, but it's just a group. It is blue creek, yeah, that's an actual color. That's from the calcium in the water. Yeah, go ahead.
So obviously that water level's higher than what you put the planks in.
Well, yeah, now, this fence, this is the end of this part of this floor. But the cave continues for at least another 700 feet.
Wow.
We explore that in our wild tour. Our wild tour is an after-hour tour for small groups. We'll open up the gate, we'll take you on the wooden planks when it's not flooded, and it's not flooded now. We'll take you to the very back part of the cave where there's no lights, no lights. It is a real spelunking tour.
When does that happen?
That happens on Monday nights, Thursdays, and Saturdays. But it's reservation only. So you need like a week's notice.
Which notice?
Yeah. And it's a 3-hour tour, just like Gilligan.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
3-hour tour.
Yeah.
If you take the wild tour, you're absolutely guaranteed to come out money.
Yeah.
I would love to do
So leave the electronics in the vehicle and.
Yep.
Bring your flashlight?
Now, we were talking about rushing water that the owner heard. Well, up here, notice this little chute there?
Yeah.
Water running through there? We think it was the water rushing through the chute, bouncing off the walls, crashing into the lake. That's the noise. This is an echo chamber. If you can imagine a waterfall, it makes an awful lot of noise. And look what it's done over time. It's actually cut a channel. So we think, now that's part of the fracture, but that's a chute. Sorry, it's slipping.
Bagworm.
Now, we do have some animals here. We have six animals, okay? Our first one is our pet ferret. And way up here, we have a cat looking down on us.
Yeah, of course it's looking down.
Of course, they always do, right? Let's turn around. Right here, we have our rubber chicken. Behind the rubber chicken, we have a rat,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
seahorse,
Yeah.
and a couple of big owls. Again, spend a lot of time with them.
Yeah.
This is also a place for pictures, if anybody wants to take your picture. Classroom is underneath the parking lot. Any questions? Okay.
All right, we're just gonna walk back, so I'm gonna turn you off. All right, so Daffy Duck is here to remind you to duck down because it's really shallow, really short.
I would have come.
You're looking at a 75-foot vertical drop straight into a black hole.
Yeah.
Not very conducive to climbing in and out of it. Also too, in the Ozarks, there's a lot of caves around this where you can walk straight into the hill shelter. So this particular cave would have been the last place they would have visited.
Yeah.
This is one you throw your enemies into.
Yes. What we're gonna do next is we're gonna walk around the opening, go underneath the building, and the last room that we visit is underneath the parking lot. But first I want to tell a very short Jesse James story. Jesse James was never here.
That was short.
That was a great story.
You don't hear any water running back here. Oh. I bet it was fun pouring concrete in here.
Wouldn't you like to poke them bags now?
Yeah.
Good job, everybody.
I made it up the steps.
We'll take a little breather here. Stay close. So right now we're underneath the building. We're about 30 to 35 feet below the surface. So we call this the basement. So we went from 250 feet to 30 feet.
Wow.
And that's all because the land's been coming down. So what we're going to do next, we're going to go through the short tunnel and straight down through 30 steps. When we get to the bottom, we'll be in a small room called the Buddha room. There's lots to see, and we'll be underneath the parking lot.
How short's the short tunnel?
20 feet.
Short in length or short in height? All right. Short in height too.
For a second.
Look at this natural wood formation. Made perfect stairs. Yeah, I could have waited up there. You're not very nice. Throw up on those big boys. Lots of bacon. Ooh, that's a dripper.
That's a horror.
He's brought a leak.
Like it's making this.
We'll talk about that. Folks, if I can go back this way, right over here, for your best view.
All right.
Thanks. So right now we're underneath the parking lot. I will get back to that in a minute. But first, let's take a look at the ceiling. Now, this is the last time I'm going to mention this. Here's that fracture that we've been following the entire length of the cave.
It's the third time you said the last time.
I have the flashlights. I make the rules. Right? But notice the fracture is really tight through here, and then straight ahead. That's the end of the cave. If we were able to go 300, maybe 400 feet straight ahead, we'd end up underneath the highway. And right above us, we have stalactites that have been broken off, but gives us an excellent view on the inside of it. And all that sparkle material you see is calcite crystals. This is probably the nicest piece of bacon in the entire cave. Beautiful.
Pretty bacon.
Yeah.
But since we do not discriminate here, we have a really nice piece of Canadian bacon.
No, that's not bacon. That's just ham.
Big stalactites, always dripping a lot of water, especially this one and back. Watch what happens when this water drips and hits this stalagmite. What's that water doing?
Bounces it.
Bouncing off, splashing. Yes, good. That splashing is because that splashing is causing this stalagmite to get nice and tall, but also get nice and big, nice and fat. Because the whole thing is wet. And water splashing all over the place.
So did this one get broken off?
This
Or somebody cut
actually is a piece of firewood that
Oh.
was placed here as a prank about 75 years ago.
Wow.
And we know it's a piece of firewood because if you take a close look at
You
it,
see the rings.
you actually see the growth rings. You can actually see the check marks, the cracks in it. But also too, stalagmites would have tapered sides. These sides are parallel to each other. So this is a piece of firewood, probably from the middle trunk of a.
Yeah.
Of a
There's no substantial stalactites
Right,
above it.
right. If this was a stalagmite, it would have gone through the roof.
Yeah.
But we can date this roughly by the size of that stalagmite.
Wow.
About 75 years.
Yeah.
If I can have you folks just step back a bit. I'd like everybody to take a look at this. Now this is our Buddha, or was our Buddha. That's why this is called the Buddha room. But because of all the dripping water, our Buddha has changed a little bit. So I want everybody to take a good look right there. Who does that look like today? What famous person?
Chris Kringle.
Chris Kringle? Is that another name for Santa Claus?
Yeah.
Okay, good. This is stalagmite Santa. This is Santa Claus. You can see the hat, the eyes, the nose, and the beard. If you see it, once you see it, it pops. But keep in mind, if this water continues to drip, in the 50 years from now, 100 years, she's going to change. 5-foot stalagmite. Weighs close to 100 pounds and took a good 5,000 to 6,000 years to form. But let's see what formed this stalagmite. We're not going to believe it.
Tiny little straw.
Right there, you bet.
Wow.
Really?
That 4-inch soda straw pumped his little heart out for a good 5,000 years to form this.
Now it's tired.
What happened is, at least what we think happened, the water dripped through that soda straw so fast, it did not have a chance to grow. All the growing power, all the minerals the water possessed, was used to form the stalagmite. And it's not active anymore. And then look at this very delicate soda straw column. Any questions? Right now, we're 50 feet underneath the parking lot. So if a school bus pulled in, or a clap of thunder, or some motorcycles, we could hear it. But we figure with 50 feet of solid rock and boulders, we're pretty safe. But if we came to work one morning and the parking lot was gone, where would it be? Right here in this room, exactly right. And up on the surface where the parking lot just used to be would be a huge sinkhole. And that whole process would take seconds.
Yeah.
But it's a Monday, so we're safe.
And Santa would be gone.
Yes. This is probably the most active spot in the entire cave, right here. No matter if it's wet season, dry, whatever, this is always dripping in.
That I've never been example like along that corner where the winter done was, but where it would get to drip like that, the way that water runs.
Right.
Would that be correct?
Yeah.
The way that water is up there?
Yep.
Is that somebody's septic line?
No, the reason why this is darker is because you have to remember, this is very old. It's been here for thousands of years. And with all the floods, the main thing a flood does is it floats all the silt and clay and clashes on the walls and stalagmites. So that's years and years of flooding, lots and lots. Any other questions?
Did that one break? Is that what that is?
Yes, that got broken off probably from building this walkway here, this decking, swinging pieces of wood around, probably broken. Over easy. So this one's a double yoker.
There you go.
Nice.
And then we have a third here. What we're looking at are stalagmites growing on a 50-year-old concrete wall. So this shows us a couple things. First, in 50 years, the stalagmites haven't grown much, but then again, we don't expect them to. Pretty much established, it's an inch every 100 years. So this is about right. But also, they're growing on concrete. Man-made product. Pretty close to rock, but not quite rock. In fact, it doesn't matter at all what stalagmites grow on. They can grow on glass, wood, metal, plastic, rock, cement. It does not matter. It's what you need to form a stalagmite is three things. Good source of calcium-rich water, a surface that's stable, that does not move, and time, especially the time part. This is licking rock.
No, I'm not going to lick it.
Sticks out just like, I'm not going to let you lick it. This sticks out just like a tongue, but also the composition of this is essentially the same as rollades and tongues.
Really? The calcium.
Yep, calcium carbonate. The Native Americans usually use this type of rock as an antacid. Now this rock, which is a limestone, was originally deposited on a shallow ocean floor over 300 million years ago. And there are plant fossils in it. And if you take a close look right here, you can see a fossil leaf.
Oh, nice.
So if you spend any time in Eureka Springs, Beaver Lake, Table Rock Lake, just driving through the region, you notice most of the hills have all these rocks sticking out of them. This is the rock that you're talking about. Limestone. It's all over the place. You're more than welcome to touch it if you want. You're also more than welcome to lick it.
No.
If you have a stomach problem.
But I'll give you a heads up, it tastes just like wet rock. But you notice there's a little granite called chalky. Yep. Clean it once a year. Any questions?
Y'all did do that cleaning in January, correct?
Yes.
On Monday.
Notice too, look what we have growing there right before light. We have a fern. Yep. It has what it needs. It has soil, heat, light, and moisture. We never touch it.
And the flies around there.
Yep. Yeah. Well, we're close to the entrance here.
Yeah.
That's basically the food source for all the salamanders, or the bugs that fly into the cave. Yep. Well, thanks a lot, everybody. We really appreciate your visit. I'm glad you enjoyed the cave.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
All right, so that was our tour of the Cosmic Caves in Berryville, Arkansas. And, you know, the videos are cool, but it doesn't do it justice. You got to see it in person. There's just no comparison to seeing it in person. So if you're in the Eureka Springs area, go check out Cosmic Caves. I keep wanting to say caverns.
It might be. I don't know.
No, I think it is caves because it's
Caves? Oh, yeah, it was caves.
Yeah. So go check it out. It was pretty cool.
Spark. I need some.
And you know, the folks there doing the tours are really knowledgeable and a lot of fun to be around.
Yeah.
They joked around. It was a good deal.
And it takes about an hour and 15 minutes to do the whole thing. There are some pretty
tight
major
spots.
steps going up and down. So if you have knee problems, probably not the one for you.
Especially going down the initial and coming back up. That's pretty steep stairs, and it's like 2 long flights of stairs.
Yeah, but if you can move around pretty well, highly recommend it. It was really, really nice.
Yep, really good.
On my channel, I'm going to be doing a lot of photos, still photos, some video, but photos mainly.
I videoed the whole thing.
Again, just pictures and video doesn't do it justice.
Yeah, of course, you know I videoed the whole thing because you're watching the end of it right now.
This is the end. Now we have to drive home.
Yep. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. It was something different. you know, you never know with His Way Homestead what you're going to see. So thanks for watching. Really appreciate you. And don't forget, His way is the best way. We'll see you next time. God bless.